Very welcome to today's special meeting of council on the what date are we on? Monday, the 10th of February for the striking of the rates. So I'll pass over to John.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Good afternoon, members. To all members of Derry City and Strabane District Council, you're hereby summoned to attend the special meeting of the council. The special meeting of the council, which will be held as a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically here in the council chamber, Monday, 10th of February at 2 o'clock. Alderman Cook.
Online, John.
Alderman Guy.
Here, John.
Alderman Hussey. Alderman Carrigan.
Online, John.
Alderman McMorris.
Online, John.
Alderman Middleton.
Here, John, online.
Alderman Montgomery.
Online, John.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Online, John.
Councillor Jason Barr. Apologies received from the Mayor, Councillor Lillian Barr. Councillor Raymond Barr.
Online, John.
Councillor Boggs.
Shaw, John.
Councillor Boyle. Councillor Clark.
And Shaw.
Councillor Cusick.
Online, John.
Councillor Deany.
And Shaw.
Councillor Devine.
Shaw.
Councillor Donnelly. Councillor Alex Duffy. Councillor Sandra Duffy.
And Shaw.
Councillor Farrell. Apologies. Thank you. Councillor Fleming.
Shaw.
Councillor Gallagher.
Shaw.
Councillor Harkin. Councillor Hart.
And Shaw.
Councillor Heaney.
Shaw.
Councillor Hutton.
And Shaw.
Councillor Jackson.
Shaw.
Councillor Leonard.
Shaw.
Councillor Logue.
Online, John.
Councillor McDade.
Online, John.
Councillor McGinley.
And Shaw, online.
Councillor McHugh.
And Shaw, Arlena.
Councillor Mooney. Councillor Murphy. Councillor Norris. Councillor O'Farrell.
Shaw, John.
Councillor Riley. Councillor Tierney. Councillor Neelis.
Shaw.
Members, and Alderman Hussey is present. And just checking on Councillor Jason Barr.
Here, John.
Here, and Councillor Alex Duffy. Online as well.
Online.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
I would like to remind everyone physically present at this meeting or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics on and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the council privacy notice may be found on the council website www.derrystrabane.com. Declarations of members' interests. Anybody? Happy to move on. Yeah, I haven't done chairperson's business either. Nobody has contacted me. So we'll move on to striking of the district rate 2025-2026. Alfie, if you want to.
Thank you. Members, the report is for you to agree district rates proposals for the 25-26 financial year. This obviously follows 3 special council meetings where we have considered the detailed rates booklets and proposals and options, and we now obviously have a statutory deadline for the 25-26 year, 15th of February, to strike our rate. So the details of all components, members, of the proposed increase are set out in the table in section 3.2 of the report, but essentially the proposed increase is made up of 2 component parts. So the first one, element 1, shows a baseline rates position of 3.42%, which refers reflects statutory pressures and inflation, pay pressures, national insurance, service development stroke reinstatement of cuts, and that has been partially offset by some rate-based growth, additional waste income and continued efficiencies. At 3.68%, pay pressures obviously remains our key pressure, and this is particularly the case in the current year, whereby the national insurance increases imposed by the recent UK budget have added circa 1.1 million to our pay bill and have had a direct 1.21% impact on the rates. Unfortunately, no funding has been confirmed from Treasury to offset this additional cost for public sector employers and NI in any way. Whilst inflation is currently running at 2.5%, which in itself represents a cost pressure, many of the costs that we face are inflating at much more rapid levels, and key examples of that being insurance and construction inflation. Facilitated by new waste income members, the baseline rates position also includes new investment of 1.26 million or 1.64% towards the range of some service cuts that were previously implemented, as well as new service pressures and demands. So these include members, costs associated with assuming the responsible reservoir manager role at Craigan Reservoir. It includes addressing budgetary and resourcing pressures within some of our key core frontline services, such as grounds maintenance, street cleansing and cemeteries. It includes additional investment into grant aid programmes within sports development, community centre venues, consensual local growth partnerships, advice and cultural organisations, as well as additional resource within community services to address emerging and immediate priorities, examples of which include the whole system's approach to obesity and ending violence against women and girls strategy. And also additional resource has been included within tourism, focused on screen and food tourism in particular. So that's the first element, members. The second element, and obviously a very important message coming from this year's process, is the significant progress that has been made in respect of our funding strategy for our capital aspirations. So at this point, over 200 million of capital projects have either been completed or are on the ground at this minute in time with full funding in place. These include Acorn Farm, Derg Active, Daisyfield Sports Hub, Harbour Square, Shirt Factory Works, the new cemetery provision at Mullennan Road, DNA Museum, our small settlements investment across the district, as well as the recently approved Riverine and Strabane Public Realm projects. So members, moving forward from that and with a view to delivering a further 440 million of capital investment, we've obviously signed our city deal, successfully concluded our leisure VAT appeal with HM Revenue and Customs, and we're also very close now to obtaining final airport business case sign-off. So members, this progress, along with the 1.5% rates investment secured as part of this last year's rates process, and also the 1.5% concluded within this year's proposals, will mean essentially three things, members. So firstly, it will mean we now have financing of up to 100 million in place towards our two key strategic leisure aspirations. This will enable the two projects to progress to detailed design, consultation and planning. 2 further years rates investment would increase that sum and enable the projects to progress to construction. Second message, members, in terms of our new civic commercial office development aspirations, which form part of our wider city deal aspirations and university expansion aspirations along the riverfront. Options and costings for that project can now be further progressed and detailed designs developed. Thirdly, members, in terms of further community statutory project advancement, so whilst work obviously progresses on the projects that are currently on the ground, this year's rates will ensure a further cash sum of 10 million can be made available from our capital savings to progress a number of further projects. That's obviously in addition, members, to £4 million, which we had previously earmarked towards a number of those projects, and we would obviously be hopeful that we can leverage that investment with further investment from central government. So obviously, following conclusion of the rates process, immediate considerations will be taken through our capital and corporate projects planning group in respect of prioritising those projects. Members, in respect of the robustness of the rates and adequacy of reserves, something our chief executive has to confirm as part of the rates process. So for the reasons highlighted in section 3.13 of the report, including in particular members that we have a financial contingency reserve in place to mitigate against many of the uncertainties and unknowns we face, the chief executive would be able to confirm in accordance with statute that the rates estimates are robust and the reserves are adequate for the funding of our services for the year ahead. So members, just concluding in relation to the impact on ratepayers, today's proposals would mean an increase of £28.96 or 56 pence per week for an average domestic ratepayer. In relation to non-domestic ratepayers, the proposals will obviously vary dramatically between different ratepayers due to obviously significant variations in property values and rating reliefs available. It is worth noting, members, that from the non-domestic properties in the district, 19% are fully exempt from rates, 58% are small businesses who can avail of small business rates relief ranging from between 20 and 50% of their rate bills. 7% are derated, mainly manufacturing companies who get relief of up to 70% of 80% of the rate bills, and that leaves 16% who are subject to full rates. And a good element of that, members, will obviously include public sector properties such as council offices, government offices, hospitals, etc. So members, the recommendation in the report is that council strikes a district rates increase of 4.92% for the 25-26 financial year. The key components of which are detailed in the report, including a non-domestic rate of 39.5993 pence in the pound and a domestic rate of 0.6369 pence in the pound. And the second recommendation follows on from that, is that the expenditure detailed in the rates booklet and as summarised in Appendix 1 is also approved. Thank you.
Okay, Alfie, thank you for that update. John, would you like to come in and say anything? So I'll open it to the floor. Councillor Jackson. Yep.
Good, Deputy Mayor. And thanks to Alfie for the report. And I know, as Alfie has outlined, there's been a number of special meetings that have led us to this point. There's been a number of special confidential meetings of council, but there's also been meetings that have been facilitated with council officers in different political parties. They allow us to float ideas, to get more information, and particularly in relation to the detailed rates booklets that have been presented. And we just wanted to give our appreciation to officers and for the time that's been set aside to do that. As Alfie has outlined, the very first line in any of our rates deliberations is the pressures on pay and reflecting pay awards to our staff, and they do amount to 3.68%. And that is something that, from our party's perspective, and I think it's fair to say would be shared right across this chamber, that we all recognise the value of those that deliver services on behalf of council. So that 3.68% rise is not in question in relation to getting fair pay awards to our staff. But I know that there was quite a lot of other deliberations, particularly in relation to our ambitions to grow. Deputy Mayor, as you will be all too aware, we are on the cusp of delivering our city projects. We're on the cusp of seeing the biggest levels of investment we've ever seen in this council area, and I know as part of this rates process, there are various asks. They include additional officer support. They run alongside and they support the delivery of the City projects. We want to maximise the potential that's coming along with City, and we wholeheartedly support the the officer team in the delivery of the City Deal projects. We want to see what the best, we want to see investment in our council area, and we want to achieve the highest possible potential that will arise as part of the City Deal investment. So we do support the additional resources. They support the City Deal team as part of this RITS process. We have made commitments in relation to violence against women strategy. We've made commitments. They install a women's officer as part of our 10 commitments to end violence against women and girls. That wasn't a hollow promise. We're standing over that promise to the women and girls of our city and district, and we are content to follow through on that promise by appointing and setting aside a RITS allowance for that post to be established. There are, as Alfie has alluded to, we have massive ambitions to deliver our strategic leisure projects, and we had agreed a funding strategy a number of years ago. We are well down that path to delivering on that funding strategy. As Alfie has outlined, there was a RITS investment last year that set us on that path. We have made significant advances throughout the year, particularly as part of the successful outcome of the business case for the airport. That was always part of our funding strategy, and this is a follow-on step. So that will, as Alfie has outlined, unlock £1 million of capital investment, which will include not only our 2 strategic leisure projects, but 10 million of community projects, which will have a massive impact on our community and right across our city and district. We have seen the huge demand for community facilities, whether it's centres or whether it's play parks, and we've seen the benefits of that most recently during the storm, how vital those services and facilities can be within our communities, and we are delighted to be in a position to advance projects that are going to be so vital within the community sector. So, but we have long spoke around the capital leisure, our strategic leisure projects of being ambitious projects, and they are. They haven't been delivered for over 20 years because of the scale of the need. They invest in both the Canal Basin and at Templemore. It was an ambitious plan, but we are within touch and distance of achieving and delivering those. I know there are those within this chamber that didn't support the vision, the funding strategy in previous years, but it is not too late. The benefits of the Strabane Leisure and Templemore are huge. We can't see further delays. We want to see us move towards a delivery phase of both of those projects within the coming months. And to do that, we accept that there needs to be that 1.5 RITS investment as part of this process, and it is something that we are committed to do. So in relation to Section 5 in the report and the recommendations that are presented to us, on behalf of Sinn Féin, I am happy to propose that we accept the recommendations. They are on the back of a number of meetings, a lot of deliberations, a lot of discussions, and we haven't heard any alternative proposal that is viable and that will see the delivery of our key strategic leisure objectives. So on that basis, we will be supporting the recommendations in front of us. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Is that a proposal? Is that a proposal or just support? That is a proposal, yeah.
Proposal?
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for letting us in. How may I begin this today? I think today is a historic day for this council. And I believe that because for the very first time in this council's existence, we'll not be using ratepayers' money to pay the revenue costs of the airport. And by that very fact, the ratepayer is going to see great benefit from that. What we see in this booklet here today, and thank you, Alfie, for the detailed books that we've received over the course of the last while. And as a representative from Strabane, I believe that this booklet contains great benefit for Strabane Town. It's going to allow us to borrow up to 130 million quid. And that's going to allow us to see a lot of stuff that Strabane has been crying out for a very long time. We're going to get our new leisure centre. That's what this book is telling us. We're going to get our Riverine project, our town centre park that we've been waiting on for over 20 years. We're going to get a public realm scheme, and we're going to see Strabane getting investment that has been desired for a very long time. We're also going to see in this booklet deserving rewards for our staff that we have stood in picket lines to campaign to ensure that they get it. Not 1 year or not 2 years, but continuously get it. That's what's in this red book today. Now, almost a 5% rise. It is difficult to impose it on people. But today, I believe that 5% rise will give value for money to the people of Strabane that's been so badly needed. And I'm happy to second the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Duffy had already seconded, but thank you for your input there.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, happy. Well,
Yep.
there you go. As a Strabane native, there you go. You can go down a second. Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for letting me in, and thank you to council officers and Alfie in particular for the time he has allotted to go through the proposals in front of us for the rates this year. And as others have said, there's a lot in the rates that should be funded. Pay raises for our staff, funding for Templemore, Riversdale, and capital funding for community projects. And this is desperately needed. And this is what we should be doing as a council. And this is what money, the money that this council raises should be going forward. We have a responsibility to provide first-class facilities and amenities for people across the district, as all the other councils do across the north. So there is much in here that's needed, and much in here is desperately needed in terms of going forward. At the same time, as you point out, Alfie, inflation right now is running at 2.5%, and this is basically a 5% rates increase, which I think will burden a lot of people across our district who have struggled. It's also the case that our council revenues, from what I was able to ascertain from going through the papers and discussions with you, Alfie, and the meetings we had here, are in better shape than they've been in a long, long time, because we had some very difficult years during the COVID pandemic and the worst of the cost of living crisis. And because of issues like the central government taking on the airport, our council revenues are in better shape. There was more millions available to spend on needed projects. So I think that's important that our residents know, and the ratepayers know that council revenue is in a far better position. The second thing for me in terms of is about the unfairness of the rate system. And I'm reading this week about how InvestNI is funding fighter jets that have been killing people in Gaza, that we've been taking state money, taxpayer money, handing it to organisations to slaughter children in Gaza. It's also the case that because of our derating system, that those same companies are actually benefiting from 70% at times of a rates cut. Not just them, there's big organisations in our district that pay nowhere near what they should be paying for in rates, but they're making hundreds of millions in profits. So there's a serious issue here about the way the rate system works, because we've been told by government, no matter how many times you've knocked on the door, that they are not willing to restore the value of the rate support grant. And I think that actually really matters, that they won't restore the value of that grant. It's also the case that we can't get a clear answer from Stormont about what they will do when it comes to national insurance premiums. Even if they receive money from Westminster, it's unclear if they are willing to give money to our council. And our council is still one of the, I don't need to tell people that we're not one of the richest councils in this in the north, but we do have a responsibility to make sure that our facilities and amenities and services are the same quality of councils that are better off, which means that we year on year disproportionately rate or tax our citizens, our residents. And I think that there's a serious and basic unfairness in that. So the way that rates work are problematic. We have companies that are helping to kill people and maybe are complicit in genocide, benefiting from not paying rates, getting funding and grants, and yet our council can't get its rate support grant sorted out so that we can help people in the district. There's something fundamentally wrong. And when we make these proposals around, socialist proposals, we're told that's not workable, can't tax the rich, you have to fund these big organisations, even though they're profitable. We have to fund organisations that are killing people in Gaza. There's no alternative to that. I think it's wrong. I think what they're actually saying is that the only way to do things is the capitalist way of doing it. And I think that that's a problem, because it's the capitalist way of doing things that is actually seeing taxes, rates go up on ordinary people, and our services crumble around us. So these are the reasons that I'm not going to be supporting a 5% rates increase on our residents. I think that there's a fundamental corruption in the way that the rate system works, a fundamental unfairness in the way the rate system works here, because constantly we are putting the burden on the ordinary people and lifting it off the shoulders of those who actually can pay a lot more, and those who should be paying a lot more. And it's so clear from the way that big corporations are rated in our district, and the way that they're rated right across the north. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Harkin. Have we? I'm going to Alderman Kerrigan online.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor, for allowing me in. And I just want to thank in particular John and Alfie and the rest of the officer team for the detail and all of the work that's been put into to get the detail, which we had.
Kerrigan, could you speak up a bit, because people in the chamber here is finding it hard to hear you.
That's all right. I'll shout a wee bit louder here. No, just a word of thanks in particular to John and to Alfie for all of the effort that was put in, and from all of the team for all of the effort was put in regards to the information packs which came out. And again, thanks for the individual group meetings which were held, and in regards to listening to our concerns and the issues which were raised, particularly officers, in regards to the various elements which were of particular interest to my council team. I do see that there is movement. I do see the benefit there in regards to the airport, which has been raised, and I do see that we have had movement there as well, and a benefit there in regards to the levy on the packaging waste as well, which has helped to assist that. And we do understand the cost and the pay pressure, particularly in regards to the national insurance. Disappointed that we haven't got word back yet from the Treasury in regards to that, whenever support has been provided to other councils, particularly in England, and we don't have that word there. So as I say, I do see the issues there. We are mindful as well. We have been supportive of the strategic leisure projects, as long as it doesn't come at the expense of other community projects, which we all have those in our own particular areas there, which need be. But we know we were seeking some additional assurances there in regards to the position of the rates. But as I say, I do understand that there's been a lot of work done, and the growth element there, the 1.5%, we do feel that it will be of benefit to the council, and I do see the vision which has been put forward in regards to that. But we do have concerns. We do have some concerns and some assurances in regards to various issues which have been raised, and just in regards to some elements which have been dealt with. So we are having a bit of difficulty just in fully supporting the rates process at this stage. We do feel that that's something we're going to have difficulty with, but we do thank the officers for all of the work that's taken place, and in regards to all of the time that's been given, in regards to the meetings which have been held, the phone calls which have been taken, and it has been very, very much appreciated. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Kerrigan. Alderman McMorris.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for letting me in. I suppose Keith has given a synopsis of how we as a grouping have discussed this, and I also want to put in record the thanks to John and Alfie and the officer team for their contribution. I know us as a team ourselves have put long thought and long hours possibly into this to discuss the benefits and the proposals that was put forward. I just want to say basically, in regards to the women's officer, we see it as a priority to tackle violence against women and girls, and we sought some clarification into the remit of that role, and we are content to see that that is part of the process, and if that comes into play, that hopefully we will see some progress and cohesive working with other statutory agencies in regarding that issue. I suppose too, it'll be no surprise to any of the officers, that I have been champion for some particular community projects, and they are very vital. Do you know what I mean? We need to see progression within our communities. This is what they're paying rates for. So we need to make sure that their services that they're getting within our communities is basically second to none, particularly the graveyards. That has been a bone of contention for a few years for ourselves in regards to the service standard, and I'm glad to see that there's going to be a grounds maintenance person specifically into the water side in order to tackle them issues. And I suppose, when we weigh up against everything that's put in front of us, it'll be a difficult position to kind of agree with the whole heart of it. but certainly we can't see ourselves going against the majority of it either. You know, there is beneficial projects in there that'll benefit our whole city and district, and we recognise that. But again, you know, we have put our feelings across about many aspects of this rates project, and yeah, I understand the work that has went into this here from the officers as well, and the reassurances that they've given us so far. We have taken them all on board, and we thank them for that. But yeah, it's a tough call, this one, and yeah, but we appreciate the work that's went into it. But hopefully, we'll get many of the community projects across the line at the back end of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman McMorris. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And like others, can I start by thanking John, Alfie and the entire team for the work that they put in to this and for their engagement with ourselves as a group, and I'm sure across the chamber with all elected representatives here. One thing that perhaps we are missing is the fact of house values in our area and the impact that does or that has on what we take in via our rates. And as Councillor Harkin has referred to there, we provide services and facilities of an equal quality to those in areas where properties have a higher rateable value. And sometimes we wonder why they maybe are sitting a few points behind ourselves when setting the rates, but we've got to be aware of the rateable value of the properties in our area, and that has a big impact on the actual income, the pounds and pence that we take in to provide the various services. And we're paying the same to have those services delivered. We're paying the same to have capital projects advanced as similar capital projects elsewhere. So we've got to be aware of that. That said, certainly we can't do everything, but that doesn't mean to say we do nothing. And I think this particular proposed budget for us shows that we are endeavouring to do as much as we can with the resources that are available to us. It has been highlighted that the removal of the burden of the airport has a big impact on the potential that we have to provide better for the ratepayers of our area. And I do appreciate the larger projects that are being named, whether that's Templemore, whether it's all of the improvements that Councillor Geller has referred to for Strabane. They're all extremely welcome. But what I find exciting in this is that there's a greater recognition of the wider, smaller community project need throughout the district, and provision is being made in there for it, and I welcome that with open arms. It's something, as members in the chamber know, that I've constantly championed going forward, and I hope and pray that we will see action on this, because the longer we delay, the more expensive the projects are going to be. So it's, you know, the resources are being delivered to us if we accept this rate, which I know that our grouping will be accepting it. The resources are being allocated. I just hope that we can begin to action ASAP all that is being proposed within our rates process. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Councillor Boyle.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First off, to thank Alfie and his financial officer team in particular for preparing the financial report in front of us here today, and also obviously to all council staff in relation to setting the various baselines and outlining the financial positioned across your directorate. So again, thank you to all of you. And there are very many positives in the report, and it would be churlish not to recognise that. We, of course, do welcome the proposals that there will be salary increases for hard-working staff across council directorates, and that's to be welcomed. Clearly, there is a very ambitious capital development programme set out before us, and again, we're supportive of that, and the inclusion of a women's officer to be involved in that continued battle against violence, and curtailing it against women and girls. Again, entirely supportive of that. Of course we are. And of course, again, declare an interest of some sorts as a member of the board of City of Derry Airport. Again, it's worth recognising that the burden of that has now been removed for us, certainly for this financial year going forward. And I'm hopeful that our request for further financial support from the executive will come to fruition. We haven't got confirmation of that yet, but I am, of course, hopeful and almost expectant of it at this point. But we haven't got the black and white letter that tells us that, and I want to see that. We all want to see that. But, and there's a but, for us in the SDLP, this is a sticking point, and some of those have already been referenced by other councillors in the chamber. And that is that we have sent a plethora of letters up the A5 to various Stormont departments, notably the Finance Department, seeking some clarity in relation to the national insurance increase, because we've received little in the way of any clarity about what the executive can do to take some of that burden, if not all of that burden, off our City and District Council and indeed other City and District Councils. We've had vague statements, but nothing clear or concrete from an SDLP perspective. And so we're far from pleased about that. Also, the diminution and continued diminution of the rate support grant. Again, we've asked for clarity around that. We've received none. And our belief is, if we had received the level of support we think the people of this city and district deserve from executive parties and executive ministers, then we quite possibly could be sitting here in a position where the proposed rates hike would be lower than what is currently in front of us. So our position in relation to this is we recognise all the positives, we appreciate all the positives, but today, Deputy Mayor, the SDLP will not be supporting the proposal that's been put in front of us. I thank everybody else for their contributions, and as I said, we will outline further in due course where our problems lie. But the problems for us quite clearly lie up the road. That's where the difficulties are. That's where our log jams are, and that's why we are taking the approach that we're taking today, Deputy Mayor. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Boyd. Councillor Donnelly.
Deputy Mayor. In the 10 years or so I've been in this council, I've never voted for the writ, so it's probably going to be no surprise that today I'm not in a position to endorse the writs, and that's from a Republican point of view regarding the squandering of over the years millions of pounds for the PCSP, in my opinion, which is flogging a dead horse in its attempt to promote British colonial policing. And whilst some people will say, they're in holding the account and this not, the reality is that it's compliant and complicit. Having said that, Deputy Mayor, I'd like to thank, and we're told that that's the rules and there's no, it's not up for debate, or we can't get around that. I think it's a statutory responsibility as how it's been described. Having said that, I want to thank Alfie and his team for the work that they've done even within that, and there's an awful lot of good stuff in it. And it has been said, hinted at maybe the day, but said more explicitly in the past, that if you don't sort of vote for the rich, you're voting against this vision or that vision, and almost that you shouldn't have an opinion. I do have an opinion, and as a ratepayer, as elected representative, it's my duty to put that forward, and the people that will judge there will be the people who, the electorate. Councillor Harkin has dealt with the issue about fairness, and I think that there's a number of very good points that have been mentioned there. Councillor Boyle has also talked about, as he described it up the road in Stormont, and there is an unfairness to the rates, the way the rates are worked out. You know, big companies being given 70 or 80% relief, I think is what's been said. The cuts to the rate support grant, and then regarding in council, in my personal opinion, a lot of decisions that have been made in this council regarding reports and reviews, in my opinion, which were hamstrung. Developers being given land at loss of tens of thousands of pounds because, in my opinion, again, the inability or the unwillingness of this council to deal with the issues. And the point that I'm making it is that if this council had tightened up, or you know, if them rules were changed, then we would be in a position that it wouldn't be the ordinary struggling, you know, worker or businesses that wouldn't have to carry this burden. There would be a fair system, but on point of principle, and mainly regarding the PCSP, I won't be endorsing today's rise. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Donnelly. I don't see anybody else willing to speak. And we have a proposal on the floor. So I think we need to take a vote on it. Sure. Yep.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, members. Alderman Cook.
Abstain.
Alderman Guy.
For John.
Alderman Hussey. Alderman Carrigan.
Abstain, John.
Alderman McMorris.
Abstain.
Alderman Middleton.
Abstain, John.
Alderman Montgomery.
For John.
Alderman Wilkinson.
Abstain, John.
Councillor Jason Barr.
Against, John.
Councillor Raymond Barr.
Against.
Against. Councillor Boggs.
John.
Councillor Boyle.
Against.
Councillor Clark.
Ta.
Councillor Cusack.
Abstain.
Councillor Deany.
Ta.
Councillor Devine. Councillor Donnelly.
Against.
Councillor Alex Duffy.
Ta.
Councillor Sandra Duffy.
Ta.
Councillor Fleming.
Ta.
Councillor Gallagher.
Or.
Councillor Harkin.
Against.
Councillor Hart.
Ta.
Councillor Heaney.
Ta.
Councillor Hutton. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Leonard. Councillor Logue.
For John.
Councillor McDade.
Against.
Councillor McGinley.
Ta, John.
Councillor McHugh.
Ta.
Councillor Mooney.
Against.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor O'Farrell.
John.
Councillor Riley.
Against.
Councillor Neelis.
Ta.
Thank you, members. Deputy Mayor, I've recorded 22 for, 8 against, 6 abstentions, so the proposal passes.
Thank you, John, for that there. So, members, proposal passes. So that is the rate struck. Firstly, as my colleague already spoke about, I'd just like to thank Alfie and his team and John for putting this all together. Whilst I agree that there is issues there, that, and I understand why people did vote against it for their own different reasons and their own various reasons, and why people supported it, I feel that there possibly is something there that, as long as people are seeing that they're getting something for their money again, then it makes a difference. Not everyone will agree with that, but we do support the leisure strategy, and obviously the assistance that we've received for City of Derry Airport has basically helped us be able to move things forward that have sat too long and need dealt with. Obviously, Councillor Gallagher's happy because Strabhan's going to get a good share of it. It was even surprising to hear him support it. But I can understand why Councillor Harkin has basically spoke out against it, and I do agree there has to be changes within the rates process. But all in all, that's it passed for 25-26. So yeah, so thank you, members, and I'll pass it on to John here.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And members, I have to read this rather lengthy statement, as always. As Chief Financial Officer, in line with Section 6 of the Local Government Finance Act 2011, I am required to report on the adequacy of Council's reserves for a financial year. With due regard to the robust rates process the Council has engaged in over the last number of months, the contingency funds earmarked for the continued economic volatility and financial risks, and Council's current general fund balance of £6.62 million, I confirm that this reserve will be adequate for the financing of Council services for 2025-2026 and is in line with the Department for Communities guidance of between 5% and 7.5% of the net operating expenditure. Further to this, and having considered the detailed report of the Lead Finance Officer on the rates estimates for the year ending 31st of March 2026, I confirm that the Council hereby, 1, approves the rates estimates for the year ending 31st of March 2026, totalling £81,850,422 and authorises the expenditure included in the said estimates, and 2, under and by virtue of the powers contained in Section 3 of the Local Government Finance Act, Northern Ireland 2011, and Section 112 of the Local Government Act, Northern Ireland 2014, and by other acts and orders hereunto enabling, makes and fixes a district rate of 39.5993 pence in the pound for non-domestic properties and of 0.6369 pence in the pound for domestic properties on the rateable value of every hereditament in the district as the respective amounts required to be made by means of each rate in respect of the year ending 31st of March 2026. And this has been adopted by this special council meeting held today, Monday, the 10th of February 2025. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, members.
Thank you, John. Thank you, members. That concludes all the business. Thank you.